Chosen one, stop scrolling. This is not just another message. This is a warning. There is something moving in the very space you once called safe. The place where you lay your head at night, where you whisper your thoughts into the dark, where your body rests but your soul never quite settles, has not gone unnoticed by heaven. And now the silence has been broken. God has seen what hides in the corners, what clings to the sheets, what lingers in the air long after the lights go out. And he is not turning away. The chosen ones are rarely attacked in public first. The assault begins in private, in the hidden places, the intimate spaces, the rooms no one else enters but you. And so it began in your bedroom, not with loud footsteps or shattered glass, but with a subtle shift, a feeling, a heaviness, a night when you couldn't breathe right, a dream that left you shaken, a strange coldness pressing against your back. And you told yourself it was nothing. You dismissed it as tiredness, as imagination. But that was the entry point. That was where it slipped in. God never meant for your bedroom to become a battlefield. It was meant to be a sanctuary, a place of rest, not unrest. But now it holds more than furniture. The walls have absorbed the sorrow you never dared speak. The pillow has cradled tears that no one saw. The air has taken on a presence that does not belong to peace. Something has been watching you, not with affection but with obsession. And the chosen ones, those marked by heaven for a higher purpose, are always targeted where they feel most vulnerable. This message didn't come early, and it isn't late. It has come now because the battle in your room has reached a threshold. What used to whisper now presses. What used to flicker in shadows now wants to occupy, and heaven will not allow it. God is not sending this to frighten you, but to awaken you. You are not simply tired. You are being spiritually drained. You are not overthinking. You are under attack. And because you are chosen, this warning comes with authority. You must reclaim what is yours. God saw the night you clutched your knees and whispered, "I can't do this anymore." That night became the seed of your deliverance. This moment now is the fruit. You were never alone. You are not crazy. You are not making it up. And no, it is not your fault. You are chosen, and this is your time to rise. If God begins with your bedroom, it's because he intends to purify everything else from this point forward. The space where you sleep is the doorway to your strength, and now it must be sealed in light. Heaven has sounded the alarm. You are no longer just surviving. You are being summoned to cleanse, to speak, to stand. And it begins here, in the most sacred room of your life. God is exposing what the enemy tried to hide in plain sight, because the chosen ones do not sleep beneath shadows. They rise in the presence of glory. If this message stirred something deep within you, comment below. Have you felt that strange heaviness at night, that unshakable presence in your room? You're not imagining it, and you are not alone. Type Amen. I reclaim my space in Jesus' name if you're ready to take it back. You thought it was just a bedroom, a place to rest, to dream, to let your body recover. But heaven sees differently. God sees realms, not rooms. And what looks ordinary to your eyes has become a spiritual battlefield, veiled in the everyday. You were never meant to sleep under a ceiling that holds spiritual residue. You were never meant to share your sanctuary with shadows that speak in silence. But something entered slowly, subtly, silently, and it stayed. As C.S. Lewis profoundly wrote in The Weight of Glory, "There are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal. You chosen one are no mere mortal. Your eternal significance has made your bedroom a battleground, watched closely by forces of both light and darkness. It didn't announce itself. It didn't come through the front door. It came through the cracks. The cracks grief made, the fractures sorrow opened, the stillness where heartbreak softened your defenses. In a moment of vulnerability, something was allowed to enter, not because you invited it, but because you were too weary to resist. And the enemy knew that the chosen ones are always watched closely. The more you carry in the Spirit, the more darkness tries to attach itself to what surrounds you, and your room, the very heart of your retreat, became its hiding place. Look again at the things you've overlooked, the objects tucked in drawers, the gifts you accepted without question, the mirror you avoid, the photograph that stirs unease, the piece of fabric you never intended to keep but couldn't throw away. These are not just sentimental fragments. Some of them are spiritual links, anchors tied to hands that never carried peace. Someone gave you something with a smile, but their spirit carried venom. Their intentions weren't clean, and now what they touched rests within your walls, saturating the atmosphere. That's why you've been tired in ways you can't explain. You sleep, but you don't feel rested. You close your eyes, but you wake up heavier. You used to dream with clarity, but now your nights are twisted, silent, or strange. As C.S. Lewis wrote in The Problem of Pain, pain insists upon being attended to. God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. This unexplainable fatigue, chosen one, is God's megaphone rousing you to the spiritual interference, invading your rest, calling you to reclaim your sacred space. That is not normal. That is not coincidence. This is not random weariness. This is spiritual interference. This is an invasion masked as fatigue. And because you are chosen, because your dreams matter, the attack has focused on the place where your purpose is most vulnerable, your sleep. God is showing you now not to frighten, but to deliver. You are not just being asked to notice, you are being commissioned to act. The Lord has already begun the cleansing, but you must partner with him. You must walk through the space with new eyes. You must discern what does not belong, not with logic, but with spirit. What no longer brings peace has no place in your presence. The room you thought was private has been absorbing words never meant to linger, and now the time for divine exposure has come. Do not reason with it. Do not doubt your instinct. When something in your room feels off, it is because your spirit knows what your mind cannot yet explain. The chosen ones are not blind to spiritual traffic. You felt it. You just didn't know how to name it. But now you do. And now that you know, you are responsible. Heaven is not neutral in this. God has issued a holy interruption. This message is not just information, it is an activation. The war on your rest ends here. The invasion of your sanctuary ends now. What was hidden in the shadows is being drawn into the light, and the Lord himself is cleansing the air where you breathe. There was a day, maybe weeks, months, or even years ago, when someone entered your room and left more than footprints. They brought words, thoughts, and spirits that had no business resting in your sanctuary. And though they are gone now, what they carried has stayed. You remember the visit, don't you? The friend who laughed but watched you with envy. The relative who handed you an old object, a mirror, a scarf, a book, a trinket with a smile that never reached their spirit. The lover who shared your bed but whose soul had long since fractured. They walked out, but their sorrow didn't. It remained in your sheets, weeping silently, where no one could hear. And God saw it all. You've wondered why, out of nowhere, a name echoes in your mind. Why you feel a sadness you can't explain. Why certain objects in your room seem to carry weight without reason. It's because the memory wasn't just emotional, it was spiritual. Their energy didn't just visit, it embedded. And now it lingers not as love, but as residue. And residue must be cleansed, not comforted. The chosen ones are sensitive for a reason. Your spirit isn't broken, it's alert. That discomfort in your chest, that change in temperature, that strange unease standing near certain corners, those are signals the Holy Spirit has been whispering, not in fear, but in truth. Look again, feel again. You already know what does not belong. God is not just calling you to remember, he is calling you to confront. There is a specific item in that room, yes, that one that holds a spiritual agreement you never consented to. It was introduced into your space by hands, not sent by heaven. You didn't recognize it at first because it came wrapped in kindness. But kindness is not always clean. And now that item sits quietly like a sleeping curse, draining your rest, dulling your dreams, and tugging at your peace like a silent thief in the night. You have been tempted to withdraw, to isolate, to give up, and you never understood why. You've lashed out at people you love. You've battled sadness that wasn't yours. You've faced anxiety that arrived without warning. This is not simply mental. This is not just emotional. This is spiritual. And now the veil is lifting. God is showing you clearly what you need to see, not with fear, but with clarity. And clarity is the beginning of authority. The chosen ones are not called to tolerate darkness in silence. You are called to confront it in power. As C.S. Lewis wrote in The Screwtape Letters, courage is not simply one of the virtues, but the form of every virtue at the testing point. Your courage, chosen one, is now required to confront this darkness with holy authority, reclaiming your sanctuary for heaven's purpose. You don't need to understand how it got there. You just need to recognize that it cannot stay. The presence you've been feeling is real. The pressure in the air is real, but so is the authority you carry. And the moment you begin to speak, the atmosphere will shift, the room will respond, and the enemy will retreat. Because now heaven has authorized the eviction. Now that heaven has lifted the veil, you cannot pretend not to see. The moment your spirit recognized the disturbance, you were called not just to notice, but to act. What once hid beneath the surface has been exposed, and with exposure comes responsibility. You are not just someone stumbling into awareness. You are chosen. And chosen ones do not allow their sacred spaces to be quietly overtaken by foreign spirits, by lingering energies, by items charged with the residue of pain, betrayal, or envy. This is not a moment for passivity. This is a moment for spiritual warfare, and it begins with your obedience. You must rise not with fear, but with holy authority. This is not merely about cleaning a room. This is about reclaiming territory. Your bedroom has become ground zero in a battle for your rest, your dreams, your clarity. The enemy has hidden in the familiar behind objects, beneath memories, within gifts that came wrapped in friendliness, but not in blessing. And now you are being commissioned by heaven to remove what was never meant to remain. God has already gone before you. The angels stand waiting for your voice, but the shift will not come until you stand in the space and take dominion with your words. Begin with stillness. Open the eyes of your spirit. Walk through your room slowly, prayerfully. Touch the drawers. Check beneath the bed. Run your hand along the mirror, the frames, the forgotten gifts, the jewelry boxes, the old letters, the clothing from someone you no longer speak to. Ask not with your mind, but with your spirit. Does this carry peace, or does it disturb the atmosphere? Every time I pass by, your body will know before your logic does. The Holy Spirit will stir in you. The chosen ones carry discernment as instinct, not analysis. What once seemed sentimental may now feel strangely heavy. What once brought comfort now may spark tension, unease, or even nightmares. Trust the signal. Trust the weight. God is revealing more than clutter. He is revealing spiritual contamination. And when you've seen what needs to go, do not delay. Do not try to reason with it, justify it, or cling to what no longer belongs. What holds no peace holds no purpose. What has been spiritually compromised cannot be spiritually tolerated. You must release it. Then speak, not softly, not vaguely, but with boldness. Heaven responds to authority, not timidity. Declare aloud into the atmosphere the words that break darkness and invite the fire of God. God, whatever is not yours in this room, reveal it. Whatever is not holy, remove it. Whatever was planted in darkness, I cast it out in the name of Jesus. This room is yours. My rest is yours. My bed is yours. Let no foreign spirit remain here. Send your angels to every corner. Let your presence be thick in the air. Let every object that carries confusion be expelled. Let every surface be touched by your light. Let this room be an altar, not a battleground. And as you speak, you will feel it. The air will begin to shift. The temperature may change. A deep stillness may settle, or a wind may stir from a place with no open window. Do not panic. That is the move of God, entering the space with his refining fire. It is not your imagination. It is his presence. What was invisible is now fleeing. What was stagnant is now trembling. And what was once spiritually occupied by darkness is being consecrated as holy ground. This is not a ritual. It is a realignment. You are not performing. You are commanding. You are not hoping, you are enforcing. This is the moment where the chosen ones rise, not just in calling, but in clarity. The Lord began with your bedroom for a reason, because the place where you sleep is the gateway to where you dream, and the enemy knows that your dreams are where heaven plants purpose. If your rest is stolen, your vision becomes clouded. If your sleep is attacked, your faith grows weary, but no more. Heaven has intervened. God has issued the command, and now the eviction has begun. Your bedroom was never meant to be a place of torment. It was not designed to carry confusion, exhaustion, or fear. It was meant to be sacred, a place where your body finds peace, your spirit is restored, and your soul communes quietly with heaven. But somewhere along the way, the lines were crossed. Somewhere the atmosphere shifted. Something entered that was not aligned with God's presence, and it began to seed disruption where rest was supposed to reign. What was once a sanctuary has become a silent battlefield, and the most dangerous war is the one you don't realize you're fighting. You felt it, haven't you? The unease that creeps in during the night, the way your thoughts spin in circles instead of finding stillness, the weight on your chest at 3:00 a.m., when everything is quiet but nothing feels peaceful, the shift from restful dreams to strange, unsettling visions that leave you drained by dawn. You've sensed a presence in the room even when no one was there. You felt watched, monitored, haunted, not by ghosts, but by spiritual tension, by something that doesn't belong. That is not just sleep disturbance. That is spiritual interference. And because you are chosen, the attack began not in public, but in the place where your defenses were lowest, your bed. God has been watching the space where you curl into yourself at night. He has counted the nights you wept into your pillow. He remembers the moment you whispered, "I don't know if I can do this anymore," and no one heard you but the angels. He saw the cold that pressed against your back, the tension that sat at the edge of your bed, the way you avoided that one chair, that one corner, that one mirror. He heard what others never did, your sighs, your prayers, your silence, and he saw what you couldn't name, the spiritual residue left behind by visitors, by objects, by words, spoken carelessly in your presence. You see, this is not just about your physical space. It's about your spiritual territory. Your bedroom represents more than four walls. It is your womb of renewal, your inner chamber of rest, the altar where your spirit should be safe enough to dream without interference. But the enemy is strategic. He knew that if he could invade your rest, he could delay your purpose. If he could tamper with your sleep, he could muddy your vision. And if he could keep you spiritually weary, he could make you question your authority. But God has declared that the pretending is over. The tolerating is over. The enemy has trespassed long enough, and heaven is now reclaiming what rightfully belongs to the light. Your bedroom was not built to house curses, attachments, or stolen energy. It was built to hold the presence of God, to host angelic peace, to be a portal of clarity for your calling. And now that original design is being restored, the Lord is not just cleansing your space, he is consecrating it. As C.S. Lewis wrote in Mere Christianity, "It may be hard for an egg to turn into a bird. It would be a jolly sight harder for it to learn to fly while remaining an egg. We are like eggs at present, and you cannot go on indefinitely being just an ordinary decent egg. We must be hatched or go bad. You, chosen one, are hatching, breaking free from the shell of spiritual interference to soar into the sacred purpose your bedroom was meant to nurture. You will no longer sleep under shadows. You will not wake up heavy with confusion. The lingering presence that once monitored you is being removed by divine force. The atmosphere is changing because God is in the room now, not symbolically but tangibly. And this change will not be subtle, it will be transformational. Because when God begins with your bedroom, he is making a statement. If I can sanctify where you sleep, I can sanctify every other part of your life. When the chosen one obeys, heaven moves. And when you stood in the center of your room and spoke those words, when you prayed with trembling lips, when you stretched out your hands in surrender, when you dared to believe that what was happening in the invisible could change the visible, something shifted. The air thickened with presence. The temperature bent. The silence turned sacred. It wasn't imagination. It wasn't coincidence. It was glory. Obedience opens gates no effort could force. And because you obeyed, the spiritual order of your space began to realign. That heaviness you've been carrying night after night has started to lift, not slowly but decisively. The confusion that once sat like fog on your pillow has begun to clear. The atmosphere that felt watched, unsettled, haunted, now feels weightless, holy, protected, and not because of a ritual, not because of emotion, but because of covenant. God responds to faith, and when the chosen one takes authority, the kingdom responds. You'll start to notice the small signs first. The stillness will feel lighter, not empty, but full charged with peace. The corner that once carried unease will now draw you to prayer. The dreams you had long lost will return vivid and guided. You will wake with a strange sense of clarity you haven't felt in months. The cycle of dread that visited you every night will break. The shadows that once lingered will dissolve. Because heaven has marked the room again, and this time it is sealed with divine light. This shift isn't only happening around you, it's happening within you. Because when God restores your external atmosphere, he also begins reordering your internal world. Suddenly, thoughts feel clearer. Your emotions settle. The inner voice of peace grows louder than the noise of fear. This is not just a deliverance of space. This is a deliverance of identity. You are no longer the person who tolerates spiritual trespasses. You are no longer passive to the invisible war around you. You have taken back your altar. You have stepped into your rightful authority as a chosen one. And make no mistake, what just happened was not hidden. The enemy saw the eviction. The forces that once sought to occupy your room have been scattered by holy flame. And the angels, yes, the very ones who stood guard while you wept, now fill the space freely. Some stand by your bed. Others rest in the corners. One waits near your door. They are not there by accident. They were assigned. Because now your room is not a war zone, it is a tabernacle. God started here for a reason. Because if he can cleanse where you sleep, he can transform how you wake. If he can sanctify your rest, he can strengthen your purpose. If he can drive darkness out of your most vulnerable space, he can empower you to stand in authority wherever you walk. And now you no longer carry that atmosphere of oppression. You carry the fragrance of glory. You are walking proof that the atmosphere obeys those who are marked by God. Don't mistake this cleansing as the end. It is only the beginning. When God exposes the bedroom of a chosen one, he is not merely interested in rearranging a room, he is setting a precedent for your life. Because the bedroom was the seed, it was the most private, most vulnerable, most spiritually neglected battlefield. And once light has invaded that chamber, it does not stop there. Light spreads, truth advances, and what was once tolerated in the shadows is now called into accountability under heaven's gaze. God is not finished with you. In fact, he has only just begun. The same fire that cleansed your sheets, your walls, your air, it is now turning toward your relationships, toward your habits, toward your conversations, toward your phone history, toward the places you go in secret, toward the thoughts you've let linger too long. not to shame you, but to free you, not to condemn you, but to raise you, because chosen ones cannot carry contamination into consecration. What God is about to entrust to you cannot coexist with what He is now exposing. You have cried out for promotion, for breakthrough, for clarity, for purpose, and heaven has heard you. But élévation demande purification. Anointing requires separation, and if your bed, the most intimate space, was defiled, what else has been quietly altered by unholy influence? You are stepping into a new timeline now. You have crossed into a season where compromise is fatal, where delay is no longer allowed, where double-mindedness will be shattered by divine confrontation. This is the hour of alignment. And because you are chosen, you are called to walk as one set apart. You cannot afford to let old soul ties remain unchecked. You cannot let lingering trauma build altars in your routines. You cannot let fear decide your friendships or brokenness shape your boundaries. God is calling everything into the light, your loyalties, your inner vows, your comfort idols, not because He is angry, but because He is jealous for your wholeness. He sees what's ahead. He sees what is coming, and He knows what must be uprooted before you step into it. Do not resist this process. You've already obeyed once when you cleansed your room. You've already felt the power of obedience. Trust it now more than ever. Let the searchlight of heaven examine not just your space, but your heart. Let Him rearrange, remove, replace, and rebuild. You are not losing. You are being aligned. The pruning is proof that fruit is near. This is why the battle intensified before this breakthrough. This is why the air felt heavier right before this revelation came. Because hell knew what was at stake. Because the moment you opened your mouth to evict darkness from your room, you declared war on every other stronghold hiding in your life. And now all of them will fall one by one, layer by layer, until nothing remains but glory. Your bedroom was just the first door. Now heaven is opening every door you've tried to keep closed. Not to hurt you, but to set you free completely. Because you cannot carry what's unclean into the place He's taking you. Everything has changed. What once felt heavy now breathes with heaven. The very air that wrapped itself around your weakness is now saturated with divine presence. Where shadows once clung to the corners, angels now stand in radiant silence. The floor that soaked in your tears has become the foundation of your freedom. This room, the one where you once questioned your strength, doubted your calling, and begged for rest, is no longer ordinary. It has been consecrated, it has been claimed, and it is now holy ground. There is a weight to the stillness, but it is not oppression, it is glory. There is a silence, but it is not empty. It is filled with presence. When you enter now, something in your spirit will settle. Your shoulders will release tension you didn't realize you carried. Your mind will stop spinning. Your breath will slow, because heaven has occupied the very place where darkness tried to hide. And the evidence is not just in how the room feels, but in how you feel. Your sleep will become sacred again. No more nightmares. No more waking with dread. You will lie down and rest, not just physically, but spiritually. You will wake without the fog of confusion. Dreams will return. Not the strange, twisted ones, but those planted by God, filled with direction and clarity. The whisper of fear will be replaced by the presence of peace. The interruptions that once came at night, those whispers in the dark, the strange pressure on your chest, the sense that something was watching, will be silenced. Because what once watched you has now been cast out, and what now watches over you was sent by God. You will notice it in the way you think, in the way you speak, in the way you carry yourself. You will find yourself singing again, praying again, smiling for no reason again. Because peace is not a concept, it is a presence. And that presence now lives in your room. You did not just clean a space. You made room for the King. And this room, this once broken, once overlooked place, has become something more. It has become a throne room, a war room, a sanctuary, a portal of revelation. Here you will hear God more clearly. Here you will receive strategies you once begged for. Here you will see visions born in silence and carried into the world with fire. The room that held your grief now holds your glory. The bed that once carried your sorrow now carries your assignment. And the very walls that echoed your cries now amplify your prayers. You are not who you were before this moment. Something shifted, and it's irreversible. The atmosphere of heaven is now your atmosphere. You carry it in your skin, in your voice, in your very footsteps. You are marked. You are covered. You are no longer just surviving. You are seated in authority, right in the place the enemy hoped you'd never take back. And it all began here, in this room, in the act of obedience, in the surrender of sacred ground. You're not lying down anymore, you're rising. Not just out of your bed, but out of every atmosphere that once smothered your spirit. You are rising from the weight of unspoken grief, from the confusion that dulled your clarity, from the invisible war that waged itself around your rest. For too long you lived among shadows. You didn't invite tolerating a heaviness that whispered, "This is just how it is." But no more. Something has shifted in the heavens and in you. The battle is over. The presence of God has entered what once felt forsaken, and now the space that once drained you is empowering you. The ground that once held your tears has become the very foundation beneath your calling. Heaven saw your obedience, not the polished kind, but the kind that came through trembling hands, cracked voices, and whispered prayers. You said yes, not because you were strong, but because you were willing. And that yes unlocked something. That yes tore through unseen veils. That yes broke chains no one else could see. You didn't just cleanse a room, you re-established your covenant. You didn't just clear the air, you reclaimed your throne. What happened in the secret place of your bedroom has echoed through the spirit realm. The enemy heard it, the angels witnessed it, and God responded with fire. You are no longer the same. And though your surroundings may not look different to human eyes, something in your spirit has been recoded. You are not walking as someone hoping to be chosen. You are walking as one who knows they are chosen. You are not praying for permission. You are moving with divine backing. The posture of your spirit has changed. Where there was once fog, there is now flame. Where there was hesitation, there is now holy boldness. You don't need to look for proof. You are the proof. The atmosphere obeyed your voice because heaven has marked you as one who carries authority. Now, when you enter your room, you will not just find peace, you will carry it. You will wake up not just refreshed, but spiritually armed. Your rest will no longer be interrupted. Your sleep will no longer be invaded. The whispers in the dark have been silenced. The dreams have been restored. The presence in the room is no longer watching you, it is watching over you. This room has become holy ground. The bed you lay on has become a place of revelation. The air is no longer heavy, it is filled with the residue of praise. And this is only the beginning. Because when God starts in your room, it means He's about to move through your whole life. He began with where you sleep, because He's preparing to transform how you live. The purity of this atmosphere will spill into every conversation, every decision, every relationship, every hidden place of your heart. You will speak from a different frequency now. You will discern with more precision. You will walk through open doors, not as someone begging for favor, but as someone who already carries it. So rise. Open the window. Let light flood the room. Let your voice fill the space. Say what needs to be said. Sing what your soul has held in silence. Walk your perimeter and declare it again. This is holy ground. This room is God's room. This is where peace lives. This is where purpose was reborn. Let the angels hear you. Let heaven mark it. Let hell remember it. You are no longer asleep. You are no longer tolerating cycles of spiritual oppression. You are awake. You are consecrated. You are chosen, and now you are unstoppable.